At 2 in the morning, fixing a leaky faucet in our kitchen. I thought the worst thing about my marriage was the constant drip, drip, drip that kept me awake. Turns out, I was wrong. Dead wrong. The wrench slipped in my calloused hands as Melissa's voice drifted through the crack in our bedroom door. She was on one of her late-night video calls with her real estate friends, probably drunk on that expensive wine she bought with commissions I helped her earn by fixing up her listings for free. Honestly, girls, I can't take it anymore. Her voice carried that particular slur she got after her third glass of Chardonnay. Jake never helps with Tommy, never. And I caught him texting some woman from his construction crew, probably screwing her in those nasty porta potties. My hands froze on the pipe. What the hell was she talking about? The worst part? Melissa continued, and I could hear Sierra's encouraging murmurs through the phone speaker. Sierra, her business partner, the ice queen who never liked me from day one. If I have this baby, my entire life is over. I've worked too hard to build my career to throw it away on another kid. Baby? What baby? And Tommy? Melissa's voice turned cold, colder than I'd ever heard it. God, Sierra, I can't stand looking at him sometimes. He's just like his father. Stubborn, simple, always getting his clothes dirty. I found this amazing boarding school in Vermont, year-round program. I'm thinking of sending him there next month. The wrench clattered to the floor. My 6-year-old son. The kid who still crawled into bed with me when he had nightmares, who helped me sort screws at job sites, who drew me pictures of us building tree houses together. She wanted to ship him off like unwanted cargo. You're brilliant, Mel, Sierra's voice crackled through the phone. Get rid of the dead weight. Jake's dragging you down anyway. A contractor? Please. You could do so much better. I pressed myself against the wall, heart hammering like a jackhammer against concrete. I've already transferred $5,000 to Chad's account, Melissa said. For his personal training services, she giggled. Very personal services. That pretty boy trainer at her gym, the one who drove the flashy red Camaro and flexed in every mirror he passed. The one who called me buddy, with that condescending smile whenever I picked Melissa up from her workouts. Just be careful, Sierra warned. Men like Jake can be dangerous when cornered. All that blue-collar rage. Oh, and Guzetta, Melissa scoffed. Jake's too stupid to figure anything out. He thinks I actually love him. And you think you know someone until you hear them plotting to erase you and your kid like mistakes on a blueprint. 20 years I'd known this woman. 14 years married. 6 years raising our son together. And she was talking about us like we were problems to solve, obstacles to remove. I crept back to the kitchen, my work boots silent on the hardwood floors I'd installed myself. The faucet still dripped, but that seemed like the least of my problems now. In our junk drawer, the one Melissa always complained about, I found what I was looking for. Bank statements, credit card bills, papers she thought I was too simple to understand. Funny thing about being underestimated. People get careless around you. There it was. Cash transfer to Chad PT for $5,000. Appointment card for Planned Parenthood. Scheduled for next week. And enrollment papers for Hillcrest Academy in Vermont, with a deposit already paid. My hands shook as I photographed everything with my phone. Not from fear, from rage. But rage without a plan is just noise. And I'd learned a long time ago, back in my amateur boxing days, that the guy who stays calm and thinks 3 moves ahead is the one who walks away standing. I was going to take everything from her. Her reputation, her career, her precious social circle. She wanted to see what dangerous looked like. She was about to find out. But first, I had a red Camaro to visit. Chad's car sat in the gym parking lot, like a beacon of arrogance. All shine and no substance, just like its owner. I'd brought my keys, but looking at that pristine paint job, I realized keys were too subtle for what I had in mind. The valve stem tool from my truck's glove compartment made quick work of all 4 tires. Not slashed. That would be criminal damage. Just deflated. A minor inconvenience. But the word I scratched into his hood with a concrete nail? That was pure poetry. Cheater. Big, ugly letters that would cost a fortune to buff out. I left my old burner phone on his windshield with a simple text message queued up. She's using you too. Let him chew on that. When I got home, Melissa was waiting in the kitchen, holding her own phone. Her face was pale, makeup smeared from crying or anger, hard to tell which. We need to talk, she said. Sierra had sent her a photo. Me, in the gym parking lot, crouched next to Chad's car. Grainy, but unmistakably me. I can explain, I started. Can you? Her voice was ice. Because it looks like my husband is stalking my trainer. The irony was so thick, I could taste it. But I just smiled and said, "You're right, Mel. We definitely need to talk. You're losing your mind, Jake." Melissa paced our living room like a caged animal, her silk robe flowing behind her. Even at 3 a.m., even caught in her own web of lies, she looked polished, professional. Normal husbands don't vandalize their wife's trainer's car. Normal wives don't screw their trainers either, I said, settling into my recliner, the one she'd been trying to get me to throw away for months. But here we are, Mun. Her face went white, then red. I have no idea what you're talking about. $5,000, Mel, to Chad PT, for very personal services. I pulled out my phone, showed her the bank statement photo. Unless he's training you in some very expensive positions. She snatched for the phone, but I was faster. Boxing reflexes die hard. You went through my private papers? Her voice climbed an octave. That's a violation of my privacy. Our joint account, sweetheart. Our house. Our marriage. I leaned back, enjoying the way she flinched at each word. Though apparently not for much longer. What's that supposed to mean? Vermont's lovely this time of year, I hear. Great boarding schools. The color drained from her face completely now. She sank onto the couch across from me, suddenly looking every one of her 36 years. Jake, I can explain. Can you explain why you want to ship our son away? Can you explain why you told Sierra you can't stand looking at him? My voice stayed level, controlled. The calm before the storm. Can you explain the appointment at Planned Parenthood? She started crying then. Real tears, not the crocodile tears she used when she wanted something. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. I'm scared, Jake, she whispered. I worked so hard to build my career. Another baby would ruin everything. And Tommy, he needs structure, discipline, more than we can give him here. More than I can give him, you mean? She didn't deny it. And Chad? What structure is he providing? It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I stood up, stretched. But don't worry, Mel. I'm going to fix this. All of it. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Ray Kowalski had handled my business contracts for years, and his own messy divorce had given him a particular expertise in marital warfare. Don't get mad. Get everything, he said over coffee at Manny's diner. And whatever you do, don't get caught doing anything stupid. Define stupid. Anything that leaves marks. Anything that involves weapons. Anything that gives her ammunition in court. He stirred his coffee thoughtfully. But if someone's car happened to break down in an inconvenient location, or if certain information happened to become public knowledge, well, these things happen. I liked Ray. By noon, word was spreading through town like wildfire. Small places like ours thrive on gossip, and Melissa had apparently decided the best defense was a good offense. Jake's been acting strange. I overheard her telling Mrs. Patterson at the grocery store. Staying out late, getting violent. I'm worried about Tommy's safety. At the hardware store, Bob Jenkins gave me a look that could freeze hell. Heard you've been stepping out on Melissa, he said. Shame, she's a good woman. Funny, I replied, loading concrete mix into my truck. That's not what I heard. Oh, the whispers followed me everywhere. Job sites, the post office, even Tommy's school. By the time I picked him up that afternoon, the damage was clear. Daddy, Tommy said, climbing into my truck. Mrs. Henderson asked me if Mommy and you were getting divorced. 6 years old, and already caught in the crossfire. What did you tell her, buddy? I told her you and Mommy love each other. His voice was small, uncertain. That's right, isn't it? I looked at my son in the rearview mirror. His mother's eyes, but my stubborn chin. The kid she wanted to ship off to Vermont like a package she didn't want to deal with. I love you, Tommy. That's what matters. I love you, Tommy. I love you, Tommy. That evening, Melissa came home late, reeking of wine and Chad's cologne. She'd stopped trying to hide it. We need to discuss custody arrangements, she announced, not even bothering to check if Tommy was within earshot. Do we? I love you. I think it's best if Tommy comes with me. You're not stable right now. I love you. Now, and where exactly are you going? She smiled then, cold and calculating. Chad's been looking for a business partner, someone to help him expand his training operation. We're thinking of relocating to Denver with my son, our son. And what's best for him is getting away from this toxic environment you've created. I nodded slowly, like I was considering it. Like I was the simple contractor she thought I was. You know what, Mel? You're absolutely right. Her smile widened. I am toxic. I'm dangerous. I'm everything you've been telling people I am. I stood up, stretched again. So maybe it's time I stopped disappointing you. The smile faded. What does that mean? It means you wanted a villain, sweetheart. Now you get to live with one. The thing about being underestimated your whole life is that people forget you're listening. They forget you're learning. They forget that simple doesn't mean stupid. Melissa forgot I'd been handling her business paperwork for years. Forgot I knew her passwords, her social security number, her mother's maiden name. Forgot that contractors deal with permits, inspections, legal documents every single day. She definitely forgot that I still had friends in low places. Tommy's staying with Grandma tonight, I told her Friday evening. My mother-in-law, ironically, still liked me. Thought Melissa was getting too big for her britches, as she put it. Why? Melissa was getting ready for another girls' night out, which I now knew meant another night at Chad's apartment, because Daddy has some business to take care of. She was too eager to leave to question it. An hour after she left, I was sitting in Ray's office with a stack of papers and a plan that would have made Machiavelli proud. Custody petition, Ray said, stamping the first document. Based on abandonment and endangerment of a minor. Check. Restraining order against Chad, citing harassment and threats. What threats? Ray smiled. The ones he's going to make when he finds out his gym's business license expired last month. Funny how these administrative oversights happen. Marijod is Donover Koaredud Perfect Poelgat, Ray's cousin who worked at City Hall. Amazing what a case of beer and some free electrical work could accomplish. And the coup de grace, Ray continued. A formal complaint to the State Real Estate Board regarding ethical violations and misuse of client funds. Will it stick? Doesn't have to. The investigation alone will torpedo her reputation. And once her clients find out she's been using their escrow money as her personal ATM, he shrugged. These things have a way of snowballing. Saturday morning, I implemented Phase 2. Melissa's open house was at the Morrison property, a $500,000 lakefront home she'd been trying to sell for months. Her biggest potential commission of the year. Bully arrived early, dressed in my best flannel shirt and work boots. Just a simple contractor, checking out houses he'd never be able to afford. Jake? Melissa's voice was strained. What are you doing here? Looking at houses. We're getting divorced, right? I need somewhere to live. Chad appeared at her elbow like a bad rash. Today's outfit. Tight black t-shirt, designer jeans, and enough cologne to choke a horse. Problem here, buddy? He asked, puffing out his chest. No problem at all, I said cheerfully. Just admiring the craftsmanship. You know, real work, the kind that requires actual skill. His face darkened. You got something to say to me? Actually, I do. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app. I've been wondering, do your clients know about the steroids? Or the fact that your business license expired? Or that you've been taking payments under the table to avoid taxes? The blood drained from his face. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I scrolled through my photos. Because I've got receipts, Chad. Literally. Melissa grabbed his arm. Just ignore him. He's trying to cause a scene. But Chad was too stupid to listen. You think you can threaten me, you blue-collar piece of shit? He shoved me. Hard. I let him. Then I stumbled backward, arms windmilling, and crashed into the expensive drone camera setup the real estate photographer had positioned by the window. The drone went flying, through the air, through the open sliding door, and straight into the windshield of Chad's precious Camaro. The sound of breaking glass was beautiful. Oh my God, I said, loud enough for the dozen potential buyers to hear. I'm so sorry. He pushed me, and I just... you did that on purpose. Chad lunged for me. I sidestepped. Old boxing instincts. And he went face first into the granite kitchen island. Blood. Lots of blood. Someone call 911, I shouted, pulling out my phone. This man is injured. The paramedics arrived first, then the police. Chad, holding a towel to his broken nose, tried to explain that I'd attacked him. But 12 witnesses said they'd seen him push me first. Sounds like self-defense to me, Officer Martinez said, taking notes. Though you might want to contact your insurance about that camera equipment. The open house was ruined. Melissa's potential buyers fled like roaches when the lights came on, her biggest commission of the year, gone. But I wasn't done. Sunday morning, I paid a visit to Sierra. She lived in one of those sterile downtown condos that looked like a hotel room, all beige and chrome and no personality, perfect for someone with ice water in her veins. "Jake," she said, not inviting me in. "This is unexpected, I'll bet. Mind if we chat about old times? I don't think we have anything to discuss." "Nah, sure we do. Like that DUI you got 3 years ago. The one Melissa helped you cover up by providing a fake alibi." Her composure cracked, just a little. "I don't know what you're talking about. Or how about the client money you two have been skimming?" "Just a little here and there, nothing anyone would notice." Except I noticed. "You're fishing." "Am I?" I pulled out a folder. "Because I've got bank records, Sierra, yours and Melissa's. Funny how money keeps disappearing from escrow accounts and reappearing in your personal accounts." She tried to close the door. I put my boot against the frame. "Here's what's going to happen," I said conversationally. "You're going to stop helping Melissa destroy my reputation. You're going to tell everyone the truth about what kind of person she really is. And you're going to pray I don't decide to share these documents with the state attorney general. And if I don't, then you'll find out just how dangerous this simple contractor can be." She stared at me for a long moment, then stepped aside. "Would you like some coffee?" she asked. I smiled. "That would be lovely." Ni claimed. By Monday morning, the cracks in Melissa's perfect facade were starting to show. Sierra had made some phone calls, the right phone calls, and suddenly everyone in town was looking at my wife with different eyes. "I heard she's been stealing from clients," Mrs. Patterson whispered at the post office. "And that trainer of hers got arrested for assault," Bob Jenkins added at the hardware store. "Heard Jake put him in the hospital." Nick can correct them. Truth has a way of getting distorted, and sometimes the distortion works in your favor. Melissa was waiting for me when I got home from work, pacing the kitchen like a caged tiger. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Fixed the garbage disposal. It was making that grinding noise again." "Don't play dumb with me, Jake. Sierra won't return my calls. Chad's talking about pressing charges. My boss is asking questions about the Morrison account." "Sounds stressful." She slammed her hand on the counter. "This isn't a game, isn't it?" I opened a beer, took a long sip. "Because it feels like a game to me. And I'm finally winning. You're destroying everything I've worked for." "No, Mel. I'm just showing people who you really are." Her phone rang. She glanced at it, and her face went pale. "Aren't you going to answer that?" I asked. She declined the call. Then another, then another. "Popular tonight," I observed. "Jake, please. We can work this out. We can go to counseling, figure things out. Where's Tommy going to sleep tonight?" The question caught her off guard. "What?" "Our son. Where's he sleeping tonight? Here, in his own bed? Or are you still planning to ship him off to Vermont?" I was just exploring options. "And the baby? Our baby? Still planning to get rid of that too?" Tears started flowing down her cheeks. Real ones this time. "I'm scared, Jake. I don't know how to be a mother to 2 kids. I don't know how to balance everything. So you decided to throw us away instead. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did. And now we're all living with the consequences." Her phone rang again. This time she answered. "Hello." Her voice was shaky. "What? No, that's not. I can explain." I finished my beer while she tried to explain to her boss why 3 different clients had called to complain about missing escrow funds. When she hung up, she looked broken. "I'm suspended pending investigation," she whispered. "That's rough. Jake, please. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you and Tommy. But we can fix this. We can—" "No, we can't." I stood up, walked to the kitchen drawer, and pulled out a manila envelope. "Custody papers," I said, dropping it on the counter. "I'm filing for sole custody of Tommy, and the baby when it's born." "You can't do that." "Actually, I can. Abandonment, adultery, financial fraud, conspiracy to remove a minor from the state without paternal consent." I ticked off the charges on my fingers. "Ray thinks it's a slam dunk. I'll fight you." "With what? Your suspended real estate license? Your boyfriend who's facing assault charges? Your business partner who's throwing you under the bus to save her own skin?" She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "You're not the man I married," she said. "You're right. I'm not. The man you married was a fool who thought love was enough, who thought if he worked hard and stayed loyal and kept his mouth shut, everything would work out." I walked to the door, grabbed my jacket. "Where are you going?" "To pick up Tommy from Mom's. He's coming home." "This is his home." "Not anymore. This is just the place where you used to live." The next few days were a master class in controlled demolition. I didn't have to do much. Just sit back and watch Melissa's world collapse under its own weight. The state real estate board launched a formal investigation. 3 clients filed complaints about missing money. Chad, nursing his broken nose and facing assault charges, started talking to anyone who'd listen about how Melissa had seduced him and promised to leave her husband. But the real masterpiece came Wednesday evening. I'd invited everyone to dinner. Melissa, Chad, Sierra, even Melissa's parents. A reconciliation dinner, I called it. A chance to clear the air and move forward as adults. They came because they had to. Because in a small town, refusing an olive branch makes you look petty. I cooked Melissa's favorite meal, grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, garlic mashed potatoes, set the table with our wedding china, even lit candles. This is nice, Melissa's mother said, settling into her chair. It's good to see you two working things out. We're trying, Mom, Melissa said, shooting me a suspicious look. Chad arrived last, his nose still bandaged, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Thanks for coming, I said, shaking his hand. I know things have been tense between us. Yeah, well, he shrugged, took his seat. I served dinner, made small talk, played the perfect host. Everyone relaxed. Even Melissa started smiling. Then I brought out dessert. Before we eat, I said, I'd like to propose a toast. To honesty, to truth, to finally putting all our cards on the table. I raised my glass. Everyone followed suit. To my loving wife, I continued, who's been working so hard lately. So many late nights at the office, so many private training sessions. Melissa's smile faltered. And to Chad, who's been such a dedicated trainer, really going above and beyond for his clients. Chad shifted uncomfortably. And to Sierra, who's been such a good friend and business partner, always looking out for Melissa's best interests. Sierra's eyes narrowed. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the Bluetooth speaker. I thought you might all like to hear how much Melissa appreciates everything you've done for her. I hit play. Melissa's voice filled the room, slurred and conspiratorial. I can't stand looking at him. He's just like his father. I'm sending Tommy to that boarding school. The color drained from her mother's face. If I have this baby, my life is over. Her father's fork clattered to his plate. I've already transferred $5,000 to Chad's account for his personal training services. Very personal services. Chad started to stand. I gestured for him to sit back down. Wait, it gets better. Sierra's voice came through the speaker. Men like Jake can be dangerous when cornered. All that blue-collar rage. Then Melissa again. Jake's too stupid to figure anything out. He thinks I actually love him. The silence that followed was deafening. Melissa's mother was the first to speak. You were going to send Tommy away? Her voice was barely a whisper. Mom, I can explain. Our grandson? You were going to ship him off like unwanted luggage? It's not what it sounds like. And you're pregnant? Her father's voice was ice. With his baby? He pointed at Chad. Chad finally found his voice. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait. I stood up, still smiling. Because we're not done yet. I switched to the next recording. Sierra and Melissa plotting to have me declared an unfit parent. Sierra bragging about the clients they'd been stealing from. Chad describing in graphic detail what he wanted to do to my wife. By the time the recordings ended, Melissa was sobbing, Chad was heading for the door, and Sierra was staring at me with something that might have been respect. You bastard, Melissa choked out. No, I said calmly. I'm just the guy who is paying attention. Her parents left without another word. Chad slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. Sierra paused at the threshold. Well played, she said. This isn't a game, Sierra. Isn't it? She smiled coldly. Because it feels like one to me. And you just won. The custody hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. By then, everyone in town knew the truth about Melissa, Chad, and Sierra. The recordings had spread like wildfire. Small towns love a good scandal, especially when it involves people who think they're better than everyone else. I arrived at the courthouse early, wearing my best suit and a tie Tommy had picked out, bright blue with little hammers on it. My son sat beside me, swinging his legs from the chair, completely unaware that his entire future was being decided. Daddy, why are we here? He asked for the 10th time. Just some grown-up stuff, buddy. Nothing for you to worry about. Melissa arrived with her lawyer, some expensive suit from the city, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. She'd lost weight, dark circles under her eyes, her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Chad was nowhere to be seen. Smart move on his part. Judge Harrison was old school. Been on the bench for 30 years, raised 5 kids of his own. Had no patience for nonsense. This is a custody hearing for Thomas Michael Patterson, he announced. Mr. Patterson is seeking sole custody based on allegations of abandonment, adultery, and endangerment of a minor. Melissa's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my client disputes these allegations and maintains that Mr. Patterson is an unfit parent due to violent tendencies and unstable behavior. Is that so? Judge Harrison looked over his reading glasses at me. Mr. Patterson, I understand you've had some recent altercations? I stood up. Yes, Your Honor. I defended myself when another man physically assaulted me. I also discovered that my wife was planning to remove our son from the state without my knowledge or consent, and was planning to terminate her pregnancy without informing me. Do you have evidence of these claims? Ray handed me a folder. I passed it to the bailiff, who gave it to the judge. Judge Harrison spent several minutes reviewing the documents, bank records, school enrollment papers, appointment confirmations, and transcripts of the recordings. Mrs. Patterson, he said finally, did you or did you not make arrangements to enroll your son in a boarding school in Vermont? Melissa's lawyer whispered something in her ear. She shook her head. I was exploring educational options, Your Honor. Without consulting your husband? We were having marital difficulties. Did you or did not make an appointment to terminate your pregnancy? Another whispered consultation. Yes, but, and did you or did you not engage in an extramarital affair with one Charles Morrison? Your Honor, her lawyer interrupted. My client's personal relationships are not relevant to her fitness as a mother. They are when those relationships involve the misuse of marital assets and the planning of parental abandonment. Judge Harrison's voice was steel. Mr. Patterson, would you like to make a statement? I stood up again, looked at Melissa, then at the judge. Your Honor, I've been married to Melissa for 14 years. I thought I knew her. I thought we were building a life together, raising our son together, planning for the future together. My voice stayed steady, controlled. I found out I was wrong when I overheard her telling her friends that she couldn't stand looking at our son because he reminded her of me, that she wanted to send him away, that she was pregnant with another man's child and planned to get rid of it. I paused, let that sink in. I'm not a perfect man, Your Honor. I'm a contractor. I work with my hands, I come home dirty, I don't make a lot of money. But I love my son more than my own life, and I'll be damned if I let anyone, even his mother, treat him like he's disposable. Judge Harrison nodded slowly. Mrs. Patterson, do you have anything to say? Melissa stood up, tears streaming down her face. I made mistakes, she whispered. I was scared and confused, and I made terrible choices. But I love Tommy. I love him so much. You have a funny way of showing it, Judge Harrison interrupted. Planning to ship him off to boarding school, calling him a burden, describing him as something you can't stand to look at. I didn't mean those things, but you said them, and more importantly, you acted on them. You enrolled him in school. You paid the deposit. You made the appointment. He closed the folder, looked at both of us. Custody of the minor child Thomas Patterson is awarded solely to his father, Jacob Patterson. Mrs. Patterson, you will have supervised visitation rights, pending completion of counseling and a psychological evaluation. Melissa collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Furthermore, Judge Harrison continued, I'm ordering an investigation into the allegations of financial misconduct. If these prove true, criminal charges may be filed. He banged his gavel. This hearing is adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom with my son's hand in mine, feeling like I could conquer the world, but I wasn't done yet. Chad was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his repaired Camaro like some kind of discount action hero. You think you won? He called out as I loaded Tommy into my truck. I know I did. This isn't over. I walked back toward him, slowly, letting him see the smile on my face. Yeah, it is. Your gym's closed, your business license is revoked, and you've got assault charges pending. Plus, I hear the IRS is very interested in all those cash payments you've been taking. His face went pale. You can't prove anything. I don't have to. They will. I leaned closer, lowered my voice. You wanted to play with the big boys, Chad, but you forgot something important. What's that? I'm not the one who's been playing. As I drove away, I could see him in my rearview mirror, standing alone in the parking lot, finally understanding that he'd been outmatched from the very beginning. That evening, I got a call from Sierra. "Congratulations," she said. "You got everything you wanted." "Did I?" "Custody of your son, your wife's reputation destroyed, Chad humiliated and broke. I'd say that's a clean sweep." "What about you, Sierra? How are you holding up?" A long pause. "I'll survive. I always do. I'm sure you will. But next time you decide to manipulate someone's life for your own entertainment, you might want to make sure they're actually as stupid as you think they are." Message received. Good, because if you ever come near my family again, you'll find out just how creative a simple contractor can be. I hung up and looked at Tommy, who was building something elaborate with his Legos on the living room floor. "What are you making, buddy?" "A castle," he said, not looking up. "For you and me to live in." "Just you and me?" "And the new baby, when it comes." I stared at him. "What new baby?" He looked up, smiled that innocent 6-year-old smile. "Mommy's baby. She's gonna need us to take care of her, right?" 3 months later, Melissa gave birth to a daughter. DNA test confirmed what we all knew. The baby was Chad's. But by then, Chad was long gone, skipped town ahead of the criminal charges and IRS investigation. Melissa signed over her parental rights without a fight. She'd lost her real estate license, her house, her reputation, and most of her friends. The last I heard, she was working as a secretary in some office across the state, trying to rebuild her life from scratch. Sierra reinvented herself as a life coach, helping other women overcome toxic relationships. The irony was lost on no one. As for me, I got everything I wanted. My son, my daughter, and the satisfaction of watching 3 people who thought they were smarter than me learn exactly how wrong they were. They called me a monster. But monsters don't cry when they tuck their children into bed at night. Monsters don't coach Little League, or help with homework, or kiss scraped knees better. Monsters don't win custody battles. They just win.